All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Sunil Verma. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate multi-story flats for members of Parliament in New Delhi through video conferencing today. Over 2.6 crore families provided access to clean drinking water through taps since the launch of Har Ghar Jal scheme last year. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 93.69%. Universities and degree colleges in Uttar Pradesh to reopen from today. India-Singapore bilateral maritime exercise Simbex 20 to begin today in Andaman Sea. And in ATP finals, Daniil Medvedev wins the title, beating Dominic Thiem in London. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin the bulletin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate multi-storied flats for members of Parliament today morning through video conferencing. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will also be present on the occasion. These flats are located at Dr. B.D. Marg in New Delhi. 8 old bungalows, which were more than 80 years old, have been redeveloped to construct 76 flats. More details on this from our correspondent.
The construction of these flats has been completed with savings of about 14% from the sanctioned cost and without time overrun despite the impact of COVID-19. Several green building initiatives have been incorporated in the construction. It includes bricks made from fly ash and construction and demolition waste, double glazed windows for thermal insulation and energy efficient LED light fittings and occupancy-based sensors for light control. It also includes air conditioners with VRV system for low power consumption, low flow fixtures for conservation of water, rainwater harvesting system and rooftop solar plant. With Anand Kumar's report, Tanvi Khurana, AIR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually laid the foundation stone for several rural water projects in Mirzapur and Sonbhadra districts in Uttar Pradesh yesterday. The projects, at the estimated cost of over 5,500 crore rupees, include 9 water treatment projects for Mirzapur and 14 projects for Sonbhadra district. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister said that drinking water projects in the 2 districts will not only provide clean water to the people, but will also be helpful in eradicating several diseases. The Prime Minister lamented that despite having lot of resources, regions like Vindhyachal and Bundelkhand have become regions of deficiencies.
विंध्याचल हो, बुंदेलखंड हो, ये पूरा क्षेत्र संसाधनों के बावजूद अभाव का क्षेत्र बन गया। इतनी नदियां होने के बावजूद इसकी पहचान सबसे अधिक प्यासे और सूखा प्रभावित क्षेत्रों की ही रही। जब यहाँ के 3000 गांवों तक पाइप से पानी पहुंचेगा तो 40 लाख से भी ज्यादा साथियों का जीवन बदल जाएगा।
The projects are planned to be completed in 24 months. The Prime Minister added that self-reliant India gets strength from self-reliant villages. During the last 1.5 years from the start of Jal Jeevan Mission, more than 2 crore 60 lakh families have been provided piped drinking water connection to their homes, including lakhs of families in Uttar Pradesh as well.
करीब 1 साल से भी ऊपर समय हो गया है। इस दौरान देश में 2 करोड़ 60 लाख से ज्यादा परिवारों को उनके घरों में नल से शुद्ध पीने का पानी पहुंचाने का इंतजाम हो चुका है। इसके अलावा अटल भूजल योजना के तहत पानी के स्तर को बढ़ाने के लिए जो काम हो रहा है, वो भी इस क्षेत्र को बहुत मदद करने वाला है।
Prime Minister said that Vindhyachal region is going to be pioneer in the field of solar energy, and people are not only able to light their houses, but they can also make a living. He said by implementing Saumitya Yojana, disputes of land will decrease and people would be able to get loans on papers and documents.
विद्यांचल क्षेत्र में बरसों से लटकी सिंचाई परियोजनाओं को पूरा किया जा रहा है। वहीं दूसरी तरफ बंजर जमीन पर किसान सौर ऊर्जा से बिजली पैदा करके अतिरिक्त कमाई कर सके, इसके लिए भी मदद की जा रही है। हमारा अन्नदाता ऊर्जा दाता बने, वो अन्न पैदा करता है, लोगों का पेट भरता है। अब वो अपने ही खेत में उसके साथ साथ ऊर्जा भी पैदा कर सकता है और लोगों को प्रकाश भी दे सकता है।
Village water and sanitation committees or Pani Samiti have been constituted in all these villages who will shoulder the responsibility of operation and maintenance. PM Modi lauded the Uttar Pradesh government, saying that the state is an example of development despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. He said this is changing the image of the Uttar Pradesh government and its people. Earlier, Mr. Modi interacted with members of Pani Samiti of the districts. The Prime Minister urged the people to remain alert against corona as the danger still lingers and asked people to maintain basic precautions with great sincerity. Speaking on the occasion, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said, after independence, only 398 villages were connected with water facility, and it will be a historic step when 2,995 villages in these two districts will get drinking water through pipes.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has thanked Saudi Arabia for hosting G20 summit in Riyadh successfully and welcomed Italy as it takes over the G20 presidency in 2021. It was decided that the G20 presidency will be held by Indonesia in 2022, India in 2023 and Brazil in 2024. The External Affairs Ministry said that at the end of the two-day summit, a G20 Leaders Declaration was issued which called for coordinated global action, solidarity and multilateral cooperation to overcome the current challenges and realize opportunities for the 21st century for all by empowering people, safeguarding the planet and shaping new frontiers. With 45,209 new cases, the country's total COVID-19 cases went up to 90,95,807. The Health Ministry said with 501 new deaths in the 24-hour period, the death toll has reached 1,33,227. The recovery rate has improved to 93.69% as the country registered 43,493 new recoveries till last evening, taking the total recovered cases to 85,21,617. The actual caseload comprises only 4.85% of the total positive cases. Presently, total active cases stand at 4,40,962. 26 states and union territories have less than 20,000 active cases. The ICMR said a total of 13,17,33,134 samples were tested for COVID-19 in the country till yesterday. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan virtually addressed the Boston Center of Excellence for Health and Human Development yesterday, saluting millions of frontline health workers who bravely carried on with their duty in spite of risk and adversity, including professionals other than doctors and nurses. Dr. Vardhan elaborated India's strategy to contain COVID-19. In this regard, the Health Minister observed that it is not the first one and definitely not the last one, but this COVID-19 will soon be a past episode of the 21st century. He said government's treatment protocol for COVID patients is well defined now. He said vaccines will be available soon and the cases will significantly go down in the next few months. Detailing that India has already mastered all components of modern medicine, from antibiotics to emergency care, surgery, immunization and vaccine, Dr. Vardhan noted that the focus is now on cost, quality and affordability.
The centre has sent high-level teams to Himachal Pradesh, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh to support the states in their COVID response and management. These states have been reporting either a rise in the number of active cases or daily new cases. The three-member teams will visit the districts reporting high number of COVID cases and support the efforts for strengthening containment, surveillance, testing, infection prevention and control measures and efficient clinical management of the positive cases. In the national capital, 6,746 new COVID-19 cases were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases in Delhi to 5,29,863. The total figure includes 4,81,260 recoveries and 40,212 active cases. With 121 deaths yesterday, the toll in the city now stands at 8,391. 54,893 tests were conducted in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate currently stands at 12.29%, while the death rate stands at 1.69%. In Madhya Pradesh, 85% of the new corona cases are coming from urban areas and 15% from rural areas. The reason for this is high density of population in urban areas. The state government has appealed to common people to make safe distance in cities. Our correspondent has filed this report.
A review of new corona-infected cases in Madhya Pradesh revealed that 69% of males and 31% of females have been infected. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has appealed to the youth not to be negligent in COVID-19 guidelines. He said that all preventive measures should be adopted as the percentage of young people in the corona infection is higher, while just 10% of the elderly people have been infected so far in the state. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to around 1,93,000 after 1,798 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has announced that only night curfew will remain in force in 4 major cities of the state from today. In a statement, he said that Ahmedabad, Surat, Vadodara and Rajkot will have daily night curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. from today. He appealed to the people to strictly follow the compulsory mask and social distancing norms. Meanwhile, 3-member central team held a meeting with Chief Minister Vijay Rupani at Gandhinagar last evening. The team, headed by Dr. S.K. Singh of NCDC New Delhi, expressed satisfaction over the steps taken by the state government to check the spread of infection, including real-time monitoring of COVID-19 patients. Our correspondent reports that the state has recorded 1,495 new cases during the last 24 hours.
Gujarat has recorded a total 1,97,412 cases till now. Out of this, 1,79,953 patients recovered. 1,167 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 72,35,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. At present, total active cases in the state are 13,600, out of which 93 patients are on ventilator. 13 patients died yesterday, taking the total deaths due to COVID-19 up to 3,859. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Odisha's COVID-19 recovery tally has gone up to 3,05,813, while 905 patients recovered yesterday. 638 new cases detected during the last 24 hours increased the total caseload of the state to 3,13,961. The state has lost 1,640 lives to COVID-19 so far. A report.
With lower case detection and higher recovery, the active caseload of the state has further plunged down to 7,360. Though the virus continues to have a foothold in all the 30 districts of the state, as many as 12 districts have reported cases in single digit during the last 24 hours, indicating massive loss of ground faced by the highly infectious virus. Also, only 3 out of 30 districts have reported cases below 50. Yet, educational institutions and religious places continue to face closure as a crowd-curbing measure, even as the government carefully maps the character of the viral virulence during the ongoing winter. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Universities and degree colleges across Uttar Pradesh will reopen today. Only 50% students on roster basis can attend the class in any enclosed area, and a maximum of 200 students can attend the class at any given time. The universities and colleges in the state have been closed since March in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our correspondent has filed this report.
The higher educational institutions have been asked to resume classes in a phased manner to avoid crowding on campuses. All students have to wear masks, use hand sanitizers and maintain social distancing to prevent spread of the virus. According to the guidelines, the universities and colleges have to make provision for thermal scanning and hand wash for students and the staff. At the entry points, educational institutions must avoid overcrowding of students and that they may enter through a disciplined line. In the classroom, students will be required to sit at a 6 feet distance and they will not be allowed to share books, notes and laptops. Universities will be allowed to reopen hostels where all health protocols can be followed. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate multi-story flats for members of parliament in New Delhi through video conferencing today. Over 2.6 crore families provided access to clean drinking water through taps since the launch of Har Ghar Jal scheme last year. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 93.69%. Universities and degree colleges in Uttar Pradesh to reopen from today. India-Singapore bilateral maritime exercise Simbex 20 to begin today in Andaman Sea. And in ATP finals, Daniil Medvedev wins the title beating Dominic Thiem in London. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
A 5-day session of Bihar Assembly will begin today. This is the first session after Assembly elections in the state. Our correspondent reports that all newly elected MLAs are being tested for COVID-19 in view of the pandemic.
Pro Tem Speaker Jitan Ram Manjhi will administer oath to newly elected members today and tomorrow. Out of 243 members of the House, 105 are new who will take oath for the first time. New Assembly Speaker will be elected on Thursday, November the 25th, and the next day, Governor Phagu Chauhan will address the joint session of the state legislature. On the last day of the session, vote of thanks and government reply will be given. In view of corona pandemic, COVID-19 tests are being done on all legislators. Tests on the staff of the Assembly and Legislative Council Secretariats have already been done. With KKL's report from Patna, Tripti Srivastav, AIR News.
In the new Assembly, NDA has 125 seats and independent MLA has also extended its support to the ruling alliance. In Karnataka, former Minister Roshan Beg has been remanded to judicial custody for 14 days in connection with I-Monetary Advisory IMA scam. He was arrested by CBI and produced before the designated judge who remanded him to judicial custody. Roshan Beg is accused in the multi-crore Ponzi scam run by IMA, which allegedly duped lakhs of people by promising them higher returns. IMA Jewels chief Mohammad Mansoor Khan had in an audio tape alleged that Beg had accepted 400 crore rupees from him before the assembly election and had not returned it. Khan had appealed to the authorities to recover the amount from Beg for repaying the IMA depositors. CBI has filed a charge sheet against 28 accused, including Mansoor Khan. An accused arrested in the case, IAS officer B.M. Vijay Shankar, had committed suicide in June.
Senior Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad has blamed the five-star culture among the Congress leaders for the party's recent losses in elections. In an interview to a news agency, he said, Congress leaders have lost the connect to the people on the ground. Mr. Azad said, till this five-star culture is given up by Congress leaders, the party cannot win elections.
हमारे ढांचे को जो है स्ट्रक्चर है वो कमजोर है, वो कोलैप्स हो गया। जब कोई पदाधिकारी हमारी पार्टी में बनता है तो वो लेटर पैड तो छाप देता है, विजिटिंग कार्ड भी बना देता है, तो वो समझता है कि बस मेरा काम खत्म हो गया। काम तो उस वक्त से शुरू होना चाहिए। इश्क होना चाहिए आदमी को पार्टी से। 5 स्टार से इलेक्शन नहीं लड़े जाते हैं।
The veteran Congress leader further said that the party is at its lowest in the last 72 years and it does not even have the post of leader of opposition in Lok Sabha during the last 2 terms. Mr. Azad was one of the 23 party leaders who wrote a letter to interim party president Sonia Gandhi in August this year demanding a leadership overhaul. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat has asserted that Kumbh Mela will be held in its divine form at Haridwar in 2021, despite the practical problems arising out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Rawat attended a meeting with office bearers of the Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad (ABAP) on the preparations for the 2021 Kumbh Mela, which will begin on January the 14th. The Chief Minister said Kumbh Mela works are being reviewed periodically and efforts of the state government will be to ensure that the devotees do not face any inconvenience.
Paddy procurement for Kharif 2020-21 is continuing smoothly in the procuring states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, Uttarakhand, Tamil Nadu, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and Maharashtra. The Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution in a statement said that so far over 297 lakh metric tons of paddy has been procured against the corresponding purchase of 252.69 lakh metric tons last year. This shows an increase of 17.73% over the last year. The ministry said out of the total purchase of over 297 lakh metric tons, Punjab alone has contributed 201.73 lakh metric tons, which is 67.80% of the total procurement. It said nearly 26.15 lakh farmers have already been benefited from the ongoing Kharif marketing season procurement operations with MSP value of over 56,168 crore rupees. In Chhattisgarh, many surrendered Maoists are playing crucial role in the government's effort to eradicate the menace of left-wing extremism. Recently, at a convocation held in Jagdalpur, over 200 youths became constables after training. About half of them were surrendered Maoists. They were inducted into the police force after rigorous training. Inspector General of Police of Bastar Range, Sundar Raj P, said that the surrendered Maoists who have joined the police force in the tribal Bastar region are proving to be very helpful in controlling left-wing extremism in this area.
So far in Chhattisgarh in the last 20 years, more than 4,200 local cadets have surrendered before the authorities. According to the surrender and rehabilitation policy of the government, all the surrender cadets has been given monetary assistance and other kind of facilities so that they can lead a normal and peaceful life. Most of the surrender cadets prefer to join police force and participate in the anti-Naxal operations being carried out in the state. Bastar Police is hopeful of successful implementation of the three-pronged strategy, which aims at eradicating the Naxal menace in the area, as well as bringing in developmental activities by gaining the confidence of the local population.
Assam government has clarified that there is no proposal to close down the Anganwadi centers in the state as claimed in a section of media. A press release was issued by the Secretary, Social Welfare Department in this regard. The release said, as per the new Education Policy 2020, Anganwadi centers will be further strengthened.
The Indian Navy is scheduled to host the 27th edition of India-Singapore Bilateral Maritime Exercise, SIMBEX 20, from today in Andaman Sea. It will continue till the 25th of this month. The SIMBEX series of exercises between Indian Navy and Republic of Singapore Navy, being conducted annually since 1994, are aimed at enhancing mutual interoperability and imbibing best practices from each other. The scope and complexity of these exercises has increased steadily over the past 2 decades to include advanced naval drills covering a wide spectrum of maritime operations. The 2020 edition of SIMBEX will witness participation by Indian Navy ships, including destroyer Rana with integral Chetak helicopter and indigenously built corvettes Kamorta and Karmuk. According to Ministry of Defence, the exercise is being conducted as a non-contact at-sea only exercise in view of COVID-19 pandemic. In tennis, Daniil Medvedev beat Dominic Thiem to win ATP Tour finals, the biggest title of his career. Medvedev fought back from losing the first set to beat Thiem 4-6, 7-6, 6-4 in a thrilling final in London last night. Thiem was denied the title second year in a row. In the doubles final, Dutch-Croatian duo Wesley Koolhof and Nikola Mektic claimed their first title together, edging Jürgen Metzer and Edouard Roger Vasselin 6-2, 3-6, 10-5.
India International Cherry Blossom Festival, the calendar event of Meghalaya, which attracts a record number of tourists annually in Shillong, has been cancelled this year in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The capital Shillong hosts the only Cherry Blossoms Festival in India. These beautiful flowers can be spotted across Meghalaya during this time of the year. National capital Delhi's air quality is in the poor category today morning as the air quality index AQI was recorded at 279 at 6 a.m. The city has been struggling with very poor air quality since the beginning of the winter season. The low pressure area in the south and the central Bay of Bengal is expected to get intensified into a depression by today. Met Department in Chennai said it will turn into a cyclone in the next 24 hours. It is likely to make landfall on Wednesday between Karaikal in Puducherry and Malappuram in northern Tamil Nadu. More details from our correspondent.
As per the naming convention, the cyclone in the Bay of Bengal will be known by the name Nivar once it is formed. Weather officials say Nagapattinam, Tanjavur and Tiruvarur will experience isolated heavy rain today. They say very heavy rain will be recorded tomorrow in 7 districts in the Delta region and central Tamil Nadu and Karaikal. 12 other districts including Chennai and Puducherry are expected to witness isolated heavy rain. On Wednesday, the day of the landfall, 27 of the 37 districts in Tamil Nadu and Karaikal and Puducherry falling under the neighbouring union territory will get heavy to very heavy rain. Jai Singh, AAR News, Chennai.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. In the national capital, the temperatures shall vary between 9 and 24 degrees Celsius. In Mumbai, the temperatures will vary between 22 and 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai, the temperatures will hover between 22 and 32 degrees Celsius. Kolkata, the minimum temperature was 17 degrees Celsius while the maximum may go up to 28 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, the minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 20 degrees. In Srinagar, the temperatures will hover between -1 and 14 degrees Celsius. In Leh, the temperature minimum was -10 degrees Celsius while the maximum temperature will be around 2 degrees. In Gilgit, the temperatures shall hover between 0 degrees and 12 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad, the temperatures will move from 6 to 15 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperatures will hover between 9 and 23 degrees Celsius, while in Chandigarh, the temperatures may vary from 10 to 23 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Most newspapers today lead with a statement of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at a virtual event held yesterday on the margins of the G20 summit. Quoting the PM, the statesman writes, "Fight climate change in holistic way." Many newspapers today also carry a picture of the freshly dug 150 meters passage unearthed in Samba, tunnel used by Jaish militants found in Jammu and Kashmir, states the Hindu. As COVID-19 pandemic continues unabated across the country, central teams rush to contain COVID. High-level teams to help UP, Punjab, HP manage high infection loads, curb fatalities, is the opening headline in the Pioneer. Amidst the pandemic, Parliament may skip winter session, reopen Jan end before budget, informs the Times of India. As the government kickstarts the budget exercise for 2021-22 under stressed revenue position, health outlay may get 50% boost in budget, informs the Business Standard.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate multi-story flats for members of Parliament in New Delhi through video conferencing today. Over 2.6 crore families provided access to clean drinking water through taps since the launch of Har Ghar Jal scheme last year. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 93.69%. Universities and degree colleges in Uttar Pradesh to reopen from today. India-Singapore bilateral maritime exercise Simbex 20 to begin today in Andaman Sea. And in ATP finals, Daniil Medvedev wins the title beating Dominic Thiem in London. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.